Friends, I'm hearing from a lot of you guys, you're seeing things are about to get really hairy. A lot of you guys are making some final preparations, getting stocked up. We got a number of things that are about to pop off all at once. We got the food stamp issue. We got accelerating layoffs. The U.S. economy is in a death spiral right now. As much as I wish it wasn't, it just is. We got European and Asian theaters of World War III about to kick off, and it's getting ugly, particularly over in Eastern Europe. Russia is making some big headway, and what we're seeing on the domestic side there in Russia is that they seem to be preparing for World War III. All right, friends, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to do kind of a broad view about what's going on out there. Also, I'm going to kind of interject a little bit of what you guys are saying out there too, because this is a community. This is the Watchman community, and we're in this together. All right, friends, let's get into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade. Make sure you are subscribed. If you got unsubscribed somehow by the powers that be, make sure you resubscribe. If you hit the little bell icon, you have a greater possibility of actually being alerted when the 2 daily videos come out. One in the morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern Standard, and also at 2:30, usually in the afternoon Eastern Standard every day. All right, so let's talk about the food stamps a little bit, but we've talked about that a bit already. But we have 12% of the U.S. population, 42 million people, about to not get their food money, not about to get their free handout from the government. Now, some of these people deserve that free handout, okay? Other people really need that handout. People who are disabled absolutely should be getting it. People who have paid into the system and they're now on Social Security, they're in retirement, makes sense. We got it. I'm not criticizing you guys at all, right? If you didn't pay into the system and you came in from another country and you're just living off the system, or if you're just not reporting your income and then using that non-reportal of your income as evidence of need, then yeah, that makes you a not good person, okay? And we got lots and lots of those people. And if you're double dipping, triple dipping, quadruple dipping, getting multiple EBT cards for yourself, that's also not cool. That's very not cool. When people pass away, other people just kind of keeping their cards. When we got, there's all sorts of fraud in the system. All sorts of fraud in the system. And these are the exact people that when they get their benefits cut are going to freak out. They're going to absolutely lose their minds. And you're not going to want to be anywhere near them. So hopefully you guys are stocking up to disappear for a couple weeks. Because if you saw the riots and the pillaging and the protests based on all the previous stuff that happened to somebody else, you know that, that this is going to get bad when it happens to them. All right, we've talked about that. Hopefully you guys are getting prepared. It's not going to be cool at the stores at all in the next week or so. You might want to stay away. Only troublemakers are going to be showing up. And if you do go, please do go with other people, and please make sure that you are carrying protection. All right, we got accelerating layoffs happening out there. We just announced that Amazon's laying off up to 30,000 office workers. We've had Nestle just announced in the last couple of weeks, 12,000 workers are being laid off. UPS is about to lay off another 20,000 workers as we go into the Christmas season. When Amazon and UPS are laying off workers as we go into the Christmas season, you should probably be able to figure out that the economy is not as strong as we would hope. Those are logistics companies. They basically get stuff from point A to point B. They connect buyers with sellers. These logistics organizations are the lifeblood, and they're the most visible component of the lifeblood of the system. Now, obviously, truckers, truck rates, load rates, those are super important. It's a little technical to follow all that, But when we see these massive logistics companies laying off workers like crazy, you can see where this is headed. Word on the street is over 1 million people have been sent home or have gone home of their own free accord. That's going to start impacting local economies. It truly is. It means there's going to be a lot less food stamp money being spent by the government, but it also means that your local stores are feeding less people. There should be more food and less sales, right? But we'll see how that goes. Okay, moving over to the big story here, Russia. They're preparing 2 major encirclements of Ukrainian forces, and the big one is Pokrovsk, if I'm pronouncing that right. I mostly read my stuff, so forgive me if it's a little bit off. Pokrovsk is a critical supply city. Now, they have a number of other cities that they're moving to encircle, but Pokrovsk is mission critical. It is the crown jewel there that they're going to be fighting over. And Russian forces have gotten close enough to the city that the Battle of Pokrovsk has unofficially begun. And Ukraine is absolutely not ready to lose that city. The network, the rail lines, all of that kind of stuff, they need that city. And so they have just sent a bunch of their special forces units into the city to help prepare and to protect the city. When you start seeing them using special forces units as ground infantry, you know that things are desperate. They need to stop the Russian advance here, or we're going to see something change. And that's really where I want to get to, is not that they're making advances and it's moving forward and whatever, but rather if they encircle large units of Ukrainian troops, this is going to make the Ukrainian defense, it's going to change things. It's going to open things up for the potential for Russian breakouts. And when Russians start breaking out into the open country, now this is something that the Russian military doesn't really like to do. This is not how they're designed. American forces and NATO forces are designed for maneuver warfare. Americans would be constantly looking at the battlefield and going, how can we break out? How can we break out and then do mobile warfare, maneuver warfare? Russian troops more want to get into this type of siege tactics where they can use heavy artillery. Things aren't moving that fast because their command and control systems aren't that nimble. They want the Ukrainians to stay put so that they can then hammer them. That's kind of the Russian tactics. But in maneuver warfare, you can capture a lot more territory. And when you see that happen, suddenly it's going to go from siege tactics to suddenly we're going to be looking at the overthrow of Afghanistan in 1 week. Russian troops could be on the Polish border in a week. Once things grind down, they could move across the country very, very quickly. Once Ukrainian forces start throwing down their weapons, either surrendering en masse or fleeing or taking off their uniforms, that's going to change everything dramatically. And if you think that the NATO forces, the NATO countries are freaking out now, you just wait until Russian troops are literally on the Polish border. They will be losing their minds. And that's where we're headed. Russia is not preparing to ramp up the operation in Ukraine. What they're preparing for is what happens next. Because if Ukraine continues to refuse to surrender on any sort of terms that are reasonable, which is kind of where we're at right now, Russians are like, we want to keep the territory that we've already captured. And the Ukrainians are like, no, we want it back. And the Russians are like, we're winning. We're crushing you. We keep taking more territory. We just wait, we'll just take more territory. And you can't take it back from us, so why should we have a peace deal? We can just stop attacking you, right? So these are not reasonable terms that the Ukrainians are even offering. They want all of their territory back, and there's just no possible way for that to happen. And they also want to be let into NATO, which doesn't even make sense. It's just, why would the United States want to guarantee the protection of a country that will never, ever, ever protect the United States? So anyway, the Russians are preparing for potentially having to take over all of Ukraine. So what happens next? They're either going to break through the enemy lines, and they're going to push in on Kiev. They could send a new attack column from other parts and head straight towards Kiev. Or they could just continue grinding forward until there just aren't any Ukrainian troops left, which it would be truly devastating towards the country of Ukraine. So all these scenarios are going to send the West into a tizzy. European countries, as well as the United States, are going to panic over this. And so what happens next? Russia's getting prepared for potential World War III. That they may not be fighting just Ukraine anymore. They may be fighting all of NATO. And at this point, they're basically saying that they feel fairly confident that they can do so with China's help. If China and North Korea help, they believe that they can hold their own, which is kind of scary if you think about it, because the Russian holding their own will involve nuclear weapons. So that, and then we go over to the west, go over to the east, and China is ramping up its preparations for the invasion of Taiwan. We see them building ferries like nobody's business. Reports have been coming out all this year that they have vastly increased their production of ferries and dual-use landing craft. And that is super concerning. The fact that they are building what could be used as landing craft, and nobody really knows the answer to this because the Chinese got all the foreigners out of China. Meanwhile, the Chinese have stuck so many of their agents into the United States that they can absolutely sabotage the United States from the inside, while at the same time they can land massive amounts of troops on Taiwan. They're stacking the deck against the United States, and a smart president at this point would look at the Chinese moving on Taiwan and say, we're going to lose. If we get involved right now, we'll lose. And it's best not for us to engage in a situation where the field and the battlefield has been prepared by our enemy. The United States is trying to prepare the field a little bit, trying to put missile batteries on Japanese islands around Taiwan, trying to build missile batteries in the Philippines, but this is just too slow. The Chinese are mass producing anti-ship ballistic missiles like nobody's business. They're building hypersonic missiles in factories by the hundreds, and the United States is literally building them one by one. And our allies are not much better. We were not mass producing smart munitions. We're not mass producing these anti-ship missiles. The United States, if we launch all of our missiles from all of our destroyers, we do not have enough missiles to rearm our ships even once. That is concerning. We don't have enough smart bombs. We don't have enough long-range missiles. We don't have enough ship-based missiles. We don't have enough of anything to get into conflict with China. And China is literally sitting there being the Dollar Tree of weapons. And Western people are like, our weapons are better. But the simple fact is that which is better, a stick or your fist, right? And yeah, if you have a boomstick, but you run out of freedom seeds to put in it, suddenly you are left with just basically your fist or using your boomstick as a club. And the person who has a whole bunch of clubs and is handing them out to all of their friends, because there's a few people in China. I don't know if you've heard this, but there's a few people in China. They can afford mass casualties. The United States can't. I mean, the United States is not defending America. We're defending Taiwan, which is a different country. It's a separate country. How readily will the American people be willing to stick their nose out for this? We got Russia gearing up to handle Europe. The United States is gearing up to try to handle China, but China is focusing in on mass production of conventional weapons, whereas Russia is mass producing nuclear weapons. Specialized nuclear weapons, hypersonic ballistic missiles, nuclear-powered cruise missiles that can fly all the way around the world, nuclear torpedoes that can, now it's torpedoes, it's really an unmanned mini sub that can literally go halfway around the world by itself without anyone punching any buttons, anyone sending it signals, and go halfway around the world, sit on the bottom of the ocean, and just wait. Just wait for the appropriate time. It's nuclear powered. And then at the appropriate moment, it can either detonate or can maneuver to predisposed coordinates and then detonate. The simple fact is that Russia could have the United States on its knees, given the weapons that they've been building, and the United States really doesn't have any defense against it. So what happens next? Russia thinks they can win. China is becoming more confident that they can win. World War III is coming. When you have both sides confident that they can win, that's when you get a world war. All right, friends, hopefully you guys are stocking up. Things are about to explode, and you need to be getting ready for it, both domestically as well as internationally. I hate it, but that's the situation we got going on. All right, friends, let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. Thanks so much for being a part of the Watchman community and helping each other get more prepared and more stay informed and ahead of the curve of what's happening out there. And I don't even want to talk about financial markets because that's a whole nother thing. But all right, friends, keep going, keep doing what you can, keep getting your family more secure and safe. And I will see you guys later. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right there. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.